2025. Happy holidays. Next week is Christmas. This is the last showpiece of News Check for 2025. Many thanks indeed for having us for the past, 12 months. Many thanks indeed. And when we are wrapping it up on a high, we are going to discussing medicine and a new form of medicine, not in the world, but majorly in Kenya, which is not being practiced a lot. I'm talking about regenerative medicine and therapy as well. Well, what I know about it is that it focuses on fixing the body from inside out, and as opposed to surgeries, it seeks to repair, replace, or regrow damaged tissues and organs. Well, I'm not in the medical field, but we have a specialist to discuss that. On the second hour, we'll be looking at the roadmap to Singapore. Indeed, the head of state has an ambitious program of 5 trillion Kenya shillings that will ensure that in terms of infrastructure, we are free from debt, because looking at the national debt, a lot of that debt is for infrastructural development. We'll be breaking down the 2 funds that the head of state mentioned that will be the framework for the roadmap to Singapore and to make Kenya a first world country in a few years. But that is in the second hour. We'll be having an engineer and of course, we'll be having a governance expert to just try and break down that. That is in the second hour. But on this first hour, as I mentioned, we are looking at regenerative medicine and therapy. And joining me on set is Dr. Ashni Malde from the TIA Clinics, who is a regenerative and functional medicine specialist. Wow, that's a handful. Maybe perhaps, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to KBC Channel 1.
Thank you so much.
And
it's
a very interesting topic.
Yes.
Regenerative and functional medicine specialists. What exactly is regenerative and functional medicine therapy?
So you rightly said it. It's healing from within. Mm-hmm. And all we're doing is using natural substances or your own stem cells to make you heal from within. Mm-hmm. It's more, I could say in layman term, preventive care. Mm-hmm. So why wait for the problem when you can treat the problem before it comes? Yeah. Yeah.
And talking about regenerative therapy and even medicine, it's quite a new field here in Kenya. I had to really do a lot of homework last evening. Try to understand how it differs from other forms of medicine, because as you rightly put it, it's not intrusive, or is it?
No, it's not intrusive at all. Mm-hmm. It's actually very minimally invasive, requires a very short time in terms of the entire treatment, or even just the treatment time per session. Mm-hmm. And it's different from conventional medicine because, as I said, we're trying to advance ourselves. Mm-hmm. We're trying to heal from within. We're also just trying to catch problems before they come in. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, here in Kenya, it's quite a new therapy. Maybe you can walk us through exactly what you mean, and maybe give us a condition and how it is maybe cured or managed through this new technology.
You know, it's as vast as me being able to regenerate your liver. It's as vast as me being able to regenerate your hair. It's as vast as me being able to regenerate your skin. So my initial focus, of course, was just on aesthetics. And we used to use most of these products or most of these medications, if I may call them, just to regenerate hair, skin. And then we moved on to do more research, and you know, we wanted to introduce it to other specialities. Mm-hmm. And so when I talk of liver regeneration, I talk of kidney regeneration. It means we can get rid of your diabetes. It means we can regenerate your liver for it to be completely new. And so these are some of the common conditions that, of course, we come across. You know, as normal people, this is something people suffer the most. Mm. And so you won't believe there's actually a cure for these things.
Mm. And indeed, you've just mentioned skin, you've mentioned kidney. Which exactly does it respond best to? Is it internal organs, external organs?
It's everything. Mm-hmm. We have different medications for different purposes. We do have some that are universal. Also remember, if I'm regenerating your liver, your entire body is coming back into check. So your entire body can function better. I'll give you an example. We use a master antioxidant. As the term itself, or the term describes itself, antioxidant means reducing oxidative stress. So in very layman term, let me explain that to you. You have a metal rod which rusts. When it rusts, that's oxidative stress. And when we remove the rust, we're removing the oxidative stress. So that's exactly what happens in our bodies. Your kidneys are rusting, your liver is rusting, and we're removing the rust from your organs. And if we can put back your liver to brand new, then of course everything in your body is working perfectly fine. If we can reduce the oxidative stress in your kidneys or your pancreas, then your diabetes is gone. If we can reduce the oxidative stress in the cells of your skin, then you don't have the hyperpigmentation, the wrinkles. Let's say people suffering from burns, people suffering from scars, because these are major concerns when it comes to skin. And so the whole idea is to reduce oxidative stress when we're using a master antioxidant. We use other things called peptides. We're very big on peptides. Actually, peptides have become really famous now. And a lot of practitioners around the world are using peptides. And peptides now can regrow your hair, can get rid of wrinkles, can regenerate everything in your body, promote wound healing, help you with your gut health. And so it's all in all, we're basically working inside out.
And this kind of therapy, because let's be honest, it's quite new here in the country. Is it there to replace medicines and surgery, or to complement them, or work side by side?
Definitely complement them for two reasons. One, we will not embrace something so new so quickly, and so we have to do the old conventional way of medicine, of course. But two, sometimes it's also not that affordable to everyone. Remember, when something is new, it's quite expensive. Well, in reality, if you're going to go to the hospital, you're going to kind of spend the same amount anyway. But yeah, it's more acceptance, and I think it will take some time for people to embrace it. I can recall back to when I started my career in Kenya 6 years ago. It was a rough road because people didn't want to embrace what I'm doing. They wanted proof, they wanted to know who it has worked on. They wanted us to actually show results, and sometimes you can't for whatsoever reason. So yeah, it's a bit of a rough road, but definitely complements conventional medicine. There are things that we will not do that conventional medicine has to do.
And let's come to the issue of cost. You just mentioned that indeed it's an expensive form of therapy. And looking at Kenya, third world countries, and our health system is not quite advanced as in other countries. The cost issue, how much are we talking about as compared to conventional medicines?
So as I mentioned, actually, if you do end up going to the hospital for years, then you're going to spend way much more than you would on regenerative medicine or functional medicine. I'll give an example. The antioxidant therapy we do costs maybe up to 1 million shillings.
Wow.
Yes, and so that is in a span of 2.5 months. But to come to think of it, if you're going to be diabetic and you're going to keep visiting the doctor every 3 months for a checkup and be piled on medications lifelong, then you're pretty much spending the same amount all your life. So it's just more like you may have to spend it in a shorter period of time, but then we've healed you in a shorter period of time.
Completely?
Yes, completely.
How has it, you're talking about these figures, they're quite astronomical, and I'm looking at 1 million shillings, and Kenyans, this amount of money is quite astronomical for people who are suffering from any ailment, in as much as anybody would want to embrace this kind of therapy. How has Kenyans embraced it?
I will say I'm so happy in my practice because people do embrace it. I'm not yet in a position to cater to the 50 million Kenyans, of course.
Yeah.
because awareness is quite low. But as much as I said, look, if you're diabetic, you're going to keep going to the hospital. By the time 10 years, 20 years down the line, because you're not going to be cured for sure, are you not going to spend the same amount or probably even more? You may develop complications, you may be hospitalized, you'll end up spending even 3-4 times more than what you're spending with me. And so that hesitation of, wow, it's a lot of money, but you come to think of it like, I'm going to be treated once and for all, so why not? And we're not doing anything that has side effects. That's the most important thing. Also, you being promised that you're going to be treated once and for all. Of course, lifestyle matters. Yeah. You can't be diabetic, come to me, get treated, and then go back and eat all your potatoes and rice and spike up your sugar levels again. So it's a role you play as well. But would you not be happy to come in and be treated once and for all? Yeah.
And looking at the conditions, we have mentioned skin, you've mentioned even the liver. But here in Kenya, what conditions are Kenyans mostly seeking this regenerative treatment for?
You won't believe, it's actually quite vast, because I have patients who come to me who are diabetic. I'm not a specialist. I'm not a diabetologist. I'm not a hepatologist. So I'm not speaking on behalf of them. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my experience and what I do and the results I give. But all I'm trying to say, it's so vast. I've treated lupus. I've treated diabetes. I've treated liver cirrhosis. I've treated kidney failure. I've treated so many different patients in my practice. And yes, back to the core, I'm not a specialist in what that doctor would do. Like, I do pain management, and my pain management treatment is miraculous. And, you know, as doctors, we don't talk of miracles. Yeah. But I have 99% of my patients who are pain-free the very next day. And I'm using your own stem cells, I'm using your own blood just to do that. So yeah, it's quite vast. I mean, I see different kinds of patients coming to me. Initially, most of the patients only come to me for hair and skin because I am an aesthetic doctor. I have specialized in aesthetics and then, of course, specialized in stem cells and functional medicine. But yeah, you know, everyone is suffering from something or the other, and I tend to end up helping them with that condition as well. And of course, now enhancing their hair and skin. Yeah.
And I'm also looking at here in Kenya, of course, this is technology from outside, and you have seen it outside, and how Kenyans are embracing this technology. Does it involve a lot of machines? Does it involve a lot of stem cells, just as you said? What exactly does it involve? Because looking at even the price itself shows you that this is something that somebody has really invested in.
No, actually, this was just one of the treatments and one of the examples. Yeah. Our most basic treatment can cost you like 30,000 a month. Okay. And so it's not that it's just expensive treatment. This was just an example of something else, and the antioxidant therapy, to be precise. But if we're doing stem cells, let's say we're doing pain management, it could be as cheap as 45,000 a month, and it's just a 3-month treatment. And so it can be as cheap as 135,000 for the 3 months, and you're already treated. So it's not that it's expensive. We're also not investing in equipment, and this is one of the reasons I really encourage my colleague doctors to practice all of this, because I'll give you an example. Orthopedic medicine or orthopedic surgeons may have patients who have knee pain. Okay, and not all of them are candidates for surgery. They may be too old, they may be too young, they may not be able to afford surgery, or various reasons as to why they're not candidates for surgery. So let's say 50% of a chunk of the orthopedic surgeon's patients may be candidates for surgery, but there are those 50% that can be helped just with stem cells. And if you're injecting one knee, that's just 45,000 a month. So it's so much more affordable for those who may not be able to afford surgery. With our clinical trials, we've proved that this is an alternative to surgery. And so you can only imagine the kind of results it delivers. And so these are just a few examples of how other doctors should embrace it. The best part is you're not investing in machinery, you're not investing in equipment. All you're doing is investing in consumables. You're buying the tubes from us, where you put in the blood and process the stem cells or the growth factors, and then injecting it back in the patient. And so it can be really cheap for the patient and really cheap for you as a practitioner as well. Yeah.
As I mentioned when we began this interview, is that more or less this is a new form of therapy here in the country, and I'm looking at even the colleges and the specialists who are here who can offer this, the specialists just like you who are offering this, because even if you look at our colleges as well, I started out as a med student. I was doing pharmaceutical technology, aspiring to be a forensic chemist, but I dropped it. And we weren't many in our class. We didn't have even enough lecturers back then. I think it was 2001. And now looking back, we have many colleges, we have many health facilities as well. But this is a new technology here in the country. Do we have enough doctors for that? Do we have enough students also to, work besides people like you?
Yes, we have enough students, we have enough doctors. Unfortunately, we don't have enough training. And even to start off with, aesthetics is part of the syllabus for doctors or, dermatologists or plastic surgeons. But it's not taught because we don't have that specialty, is what I know. And of course, but there are some of us here who are ready to put in that kind of effort. I think that would be my next battle, to be able to train. Actually, I do. We run TIA Institute, and we train doctors on aesthetics. And so I do pass on the skill to a lot of doctors. But yes, I think it can be at a greater scale. And we have ample doctors, we have ample ability in the country. I don't see the need for any patient to go out of the country to get treated, because we can do what it takes just in Kenya, and there's enough fish in the sea. I don't need to see all the 50 million Kenyans. I can't. And so I really urge doctors, and that's the reason I train, because in as much as it may cannibalize my own business, I'm still training and putting the knowledge out there, because I want other doctors to embrace it. When you see 10 doctors practicing functional medicine, you have the encouragement and you have the confidence that, no, yes, this is something legit, as opposed to just one random doctor practicing it. It's hard for me to gain that score. Yeah.
And I'm also looking at the risk when you go under, or when you're going for a surgery or even taking meds or treating a certain illness. You are told about the risk, you're told about the side effects. So when you talk about regenerative therapy, are there any risk involved?
That's the best thing about regenerative medicine and functional medicine. Maybe some temporary side effects when it comes to functional medicine, especially when we're using peptides. But when I talk of temporary side effects, it's just as little as maybe a bit of dizziness, maybe a little bit of hot flushes, maybe some little bit of irritation at where it's injected, but nothing beyond that. And otherwise, the best part is there are no side effects. We're treating a problem, and we're not managing a problem. And so treating a problem should not bring another problem. And so we don't have any side effects at all.
It's better than even surgery, because when you go under, you might wake up, you might not. But I'm also looking at that the cost, just because the therapy is new here in the country. Are there any ways that we can bring down the cost, just like we are trying to bring down the cost of medicines by maybe even having our own manufacturers here in the continent and here in Kenya? How can we bring the cost of this therapy down?
It's just numbers. We sell this product, which is a cream that helps hyperpigmentation. And unfortunately, I can't sell it at a cheaper price because it's very effective. It's one of the most wonderful products I have. It's, again, like I'll call it a miracle product. And it's so famous in the country right now. But I can't bring the cost down only because the numbers are so low. if I can be able to produce 50,000 units in a month and be able to sell that, I can bring down the cost of that cream to even 100 shillings, which will be affordable to even a minimum wage earner, because we all suffer from hyperpigmentation. And this is such a big skin concern these days, because we all want to look good. And we're so all about social media and just, you know, appearance and whatnot.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, at this point, we're selling that cream at about 2,000 shillings. So you can only imagine that if it's numbers, we'll definitely be able to bring down the costs.
And what role does, because mostly you've said it's not intrusive, so what role does issues like nutrition, lifestyle play in helping regenerative therapy if somebody is under this therapy?
Well, you know, for the longest, the biggest problem with treatments is that you're hindered on your lifestyle. You're supposed to diet, you're supposed to not eat this, you're supposed to exercise, you're supposed to do this. It's not sustainable, because most of us have such a social life. We're sitting behind a desk sometimes all day. We don't even have time to go to the gym. So for me, the biggest thing I hacked, so to say, is sustainability, and I advocate for sustainability. I make sure my patients don't have to diet. I make sure my patients don't have to cut off their alcohol, so I'm the cool doctor who allows you to drink. I make sure my patients don't have to exercise. Of course, exercise is good. Of course, exercise is healthy. Of course, it's necessary, but not everyone can do it. So when I say I advocate for sustainability, I just help you live your normal lifestyle. I don't make you go out of your way to do other things, and then you'll bounce back to an absurd lifestyle. Then you'll just bounce back on your problems. So we're treating you while you living your normal lifestyle.
And is it about more, to put it into context, is it about curing disease, slowing the progression of the disease, or even improving the quality of life?
It's everything. It's as advanced as we can cure you completely. Of course, you have to be cooperative from your end as well, as a patient. But it's also as basic as being able to prevent it. And it's also as basic as just being able to manage it for those who can't, you know, rectify their lifestyle. And so we're not managing conditions, we're treating them. Yeah.
And I'm also looking at this kind of therapy, because Nairobi has the best hospitals, has the best healthcare system. Have we been able to cascade this regenerative therapy to counties as well? Because I believe that's where most people even require this kind of therapy.
It's all about embracing it, and I try to put the word out there so much, because I really encourage doctors to try and do these kind of procedures. I don't want them to move out of their conventional way of doing things. Of course, you just can't change overnight, but I feel like it's something that's so hard for them to embrace. I feel like doctors don't want to advance themselves, and it's so unfortunate, because you as patients suffer at the end of the day. And it's high time that you know, we unite and be able to offer so many more advanced treatments to patients, because everyone does at the end of the day have a spending capacity, and it's not about making money, it's about bringing a difference. And like you said, if you're going to surgery, you'll spend way much more in surgery than you would on a treatment like this. And so it's good if doctors can speak about it. Unfortunately, we don't, because, and I'm going to say this so raw, so many of us are just so concerned about the money that's on the table, and we don't care about you as patients. And it's the sad truth around the world, it's not just in Kenya. Doctors just care about how many prescriptions am I doing? How much is the pharma company paying me? I own a pharma company myself, and so I'm talking from the horse's mouth. And I don't encourage that at all. And unfortunately, it's so sad that my pharma company lacks, because if I don't pay doctors, they don't want to prescribe. And my products are top-notch. I have diamonds in my hands, but I can't sell them just because they're not getting paid for it. So it's so necessary that we move out of this bad practice of wanting money on our tables. And I think we should we should stick to the oath we took of saving lives, and we should be able to just stick to our ethics and do the right thing. But it's going to be a long haul.
Yes, of course. You're one of the doctors who have introduced this kind of therapy here in the country, and of course you learned this outside the country. Where does Kenya compare when you compare it with our regional partners and even in developed countries in regards to this regenerative therapy? I'm speaking like that because I'm looking at Kenya being one of the top medical hub in Eastern Central Africa, because we have seen patients all the way from Rwanda, from Burundi, from Tanzania, from Uganda. Where are we as a country?
We're so ahead. And I think Kenya is already definitely the hub for Africa, not just East Africa. We just need to push ourselves a bit more because we're so advanced. Everyone looks up to us. I have patients who come in from all around East and Central Africa, coming to see me just specifically for certain treatments. I wouldn't say I'm big on it, but it does happen. And so it's just a matter of time and matter of skill. And I think we'll be number one. We're quite advanced when it comes to all these things.
And are we seeing medical tourism here in Kenya because of this regenerative therapy? Because in the same way we have seen people from other countries visit the country to access quality medical health care, are we seeing in the region Ugandans, Tanzanians coming in or flocking in to access this? Because as you have said, Kenya is quite ahead.
Not flocking in, but it's a start. And yes, we do see patients coming in from other countries, specifically seeking these kind of treatments. We want to move out of people wanting to go to India and get treated. We want to move out of people wanting the elite who can afford going to the Western countries and getting treated. We want to offer that here. And so we're getting there. Yeah.
I'm also looking at for example, let's look at kidney issues, the dialysis centers. We have so many now, but if you look at, if you go back 10, 15 years ago, there weren't as many. Do we have regenerative clinics, like tier clinics, dotting many sites of either Nairobi or even outside Nairobi?
Unfortunately, no. Even if they are, we're very small in number. And I don't think someone or any facility yet embraces it as much as I do. Not saying that I'm the only one who does it or I'm the best. But like I said, and I keep mentioning this, it's just that we all need to embrace it. It's possible for facilities to offer this. It's just, I guess, a matter of time and people or doctors wanting to embrace these services. Yeah.
For a patient watching right now, why would somebody opt for this therapy as opposed to other therapies, surgeries, chemo?
Okay, you may be a candidate for surgery and I will not defer you from surgery, so that's out of the question. But things like chemo, why? You're succumbing yourself and it's not necessary.
Killing the cells that are really important for the body.
And okay, also just other medicines or other management treatments or whatever it is. If I'm treating you once and for all, would you not rather come to me than go somewhere else and be medicated all your life? Those medications are just management, they're not treatments. Because the day you stop your medication, your sugar spikes up or your pressure spikes up or whatever. And so for us, we're treating you once and for all as long as you can maintain a good lifestyle. So that's the reason why why regenerative medicine.
And now we have the social health insurance, the SHIF, and we also have the social health authority, the SHA. And does this cover in any way this kind of therapy, or still?
Unfortunately, no. Because even when we started off stem cells or growth factors for, let's say, hair regeneration, even just with normal insurance companies or even the Western world, it's still considered under research. And it's more elective, it's more luxury. Like the battle is, do you really need your hair,
Yeah.
But yes, you do. It's your dignity, your hair, your face is what you present to the world. And we're really moving towards how self-esteem is such a, I don't want to call it a mental condition, but it affects you. And it should not be considered luxury. It should not be considered elective. It should be considered a necessity. But yeah, I hope that one day we can put in that request for even SHA to have such services under their portfolio, so we can offer these services to a larger amount of people. Because at this point we get restricted when insurance companies don't accept treatments. Because of course, you know, it does come with a cost, so to say.
We have at least a number of level 6 hospitals here in the country. Are they, and public hospitals, level 5 hospitals in counties? Is any one of them, because you've worked here in Kenya for about 6 years?
Yes.
Is there any hospital that is offering this as opposed to private clinics like yours?
Yes, yes, they are. I have quite a few colleague doctors who are embracing it, using stem cells for pain management.
Public hospitals?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I do have quite a few doctors who are using functional medicine, you know, to help their patients. We're quite big on weight loss. And so when it comes to weight loss, I do have quite a few colleagues who actually do use it to help their patients. And well, it's a start, and it's going to get bigger and bigger.
And mostly because I've noted that you did mention something like hair, your skin, which somebody would argue really don't need your hair, but indeed it's your dignity. And have you seen it being compared more as therapy for the rich? And how can we change this this notion? Because looking at some of these therapies that someone is doing, most of them or some of them are cosmetic.
Back in the day, it was for the elite, it was for the rich, not anymore. I have patients who walk in, you know, who are just probably earning the bare minimum, but are still concerned about their looks. And as I mentioned, it's so social media enhanced, or it's so like, we're so concerned about our presentation now than compared to back in the day. Because our parents didn't care how they looked, but we do, because we want to be on TikTok, we want to be on Instagram, we want to be all over, you know. And so it's not just for the elite, and that's why we try and make it as affordable as possible, because we go down to the basics of, we even have creams and tablets that can help you. You don't just necessarily have to do the antioxidant treatment to be able to look where you are. Of course, it's more invasive, so definitely better results, but we even have the basics. And so for people who cannot afford, we have something to at least help them. People are so concerned about their looks, even more than anything else these days. I have patients who walk in and say, I'd rather look good than put food on my table. I don't need to eat, but I want to look good. And so it's become such a necessity. And of course, you know, social media or all this online celebrities, whatnot, play such a big role. But it's important. If I would walk in here having acne on my face, or hyperpigmentation on my face, or a balding head, would you even be interested in interviewing me? No, because I don't even play the role. And so it's so necessary, because your looks are what you present to the world. So it's important. Yeah.
And I'm also looking at the local universities, because as a doctor you've also worked with students as well, and I'm looking at national hospitals, you know, referral hospitals, you know, putting in some money for research, you know, for training. Are we seeing this in the country in terms of regenerative therapy? Yes,
yes, we are. I do have quite a few colleagues who walk in to request if they can do research on my products. And like I said, it's just a little bit of a matter of time, and I think we're going to be so ahead with what we're doing. And we do have doctors who are interested in doing research. We do have doctors who are interested in doing these treatments. A lot of the young doctors who are coming up, a lot of the young doctors who are graduating are really embracing to advance themselves, because it's now even a necessity for us to be advanced. Otherwise, we're going to be out of business so soon if we just do things the old school way. Yeah.
And have you seen an incident where you find somebody has been, you know, maybe diabetes for years and then opts now to all of a sudden just leave that kind of treatment and embrace regenerative therapy?
Yes.
For any other diseases as well?
Yes.
And
yes.
how has the results been?
Amazing. I had an ex-business partner who I treated for diabetes, and that was, I won't call it my clinical trial, but that was one of the trials I did back in the day when I started my practice on functional medicine. He suffered from sugar levels as high as 19, which is about 387, and we brought them back down to 7 after 20 years of being diabetic. And as we speak now, 6 years down the line, he's free of diabetes.
Not taking any medicine?
He takes the medication once a week just because it's psychology, because he's taken it for 20 years.
But he doesn't need to always be taking and injecting each and every day?
No, there was a point where he couldn't even read that Sony from this far, and because of the glaucoma. And now you ask him to read 2 kilometers away, he can. Glaucoma is gone. And so that was where the start of my miraculous functional medicine, you know, came in, because it gave me the confidence. And I can speak proudly about it even 6 years down the line that, you know, he's free of diabetes right now. But yeah, it works, and this is not just one. This is just one example, but I've seen so many in my practice like this.
And who are some of the patients that you can comfortably advocate for them to try out regenerative therapy?
Like I mentioned, prevention is better than cure. So start it now when you don't have the problems, because now we're just regenerating everything in your body. But again, it depends on individual to individual, condition to condition, and treatment to treatment, because you don't want to come and be injected in your knees if your knees are not hurting. So that one you have to wait until the pain starts, so to say. But there are things like the antioxidant therapy, because it's regenerating everything in your body. There are no side effects. You benefit from better energy levels, better boosted immunity. So it's more a wellness and lifestyle check than just as opposed to treating, you know, conditions or problems. Yeah.
And in your view, what policy shifts or even what kind of investments do we need as a country to scale up regenerative medicine and therapy?
The only investment you need is your brain. That's it.
And as a country, because we don't have these clinics, we only have, I think, tier clinics and a few more.
Yeah, like I said, we don't need equipment, we don't need investments, we don't need a lot of money. We just need doctors to embrace it, because it's as simple as just buying the tube and taking your blood and processing your blood and injecting it back in you. When I have, and when I have another patient, I'll buy another set of tubes and do the same thing. And so the investment is so minimal. It's like you're only buying consumables which you're going to use back on your patient. And so you have quite a good return on investment as well, because now you've already made money from the first patient. And we're advocating for it to be as cheap as 30 to 40,000 a session, or you can even go down to 25,000 a session. Then it's, you know, it's something that someone can afford, or a larger scale of the population can afford. Yeah.
And you did mention that you've worked with students as well, and you're training some of these students. How can young doctors and even scientists here in Kenya prepare for careers in this field? Because as you've said, rightly said, it's not quite new in the world, but it's quite new in the region.
They just need to be able to be willing to practice this. As I said, I want more doctors to practice this, because when you see 15, 20 clinics practicing functional medicine, you're going to embrace it better as a patient. And so it's all about will. It's all about doctors wanting to just start practicing, because neither do they need investment, neither do they need money to start it. You can have a very small basic setup. It doesn't have to be so fancy. And so I really push doctors to start their own practices, especially when they come to train with me, because, you know, sometimes they're so scared. They have that fear of, okay, what if my business fails? And this is something that even for me, when I started in Kenya, I started during COVID. I have never paid from my pocket, and I've been so blessed. And it wasn't because of luck, it's hard work, and it's also just how patients have embraced it, and you know, people have accepted me doing these kind of treatments in the country. Yeah.
And I'm looking at how we can scale it up here in the country, because the moment that you're not destroying your body, it's non-intrusive. And in some instances, you've talked about 100% success rate.
Yes.
Information is power.
Yes.
A lot of Kenyans don't know that, because I told you I had to quite read last night, because I even didn't know this technology exists.
Yes.
How can we create awareness to ensure that we have regenerative therapy scaled up even to counties? Because I believe that's where we can really, really, really help Kenyans.
I guess back to my same statement, we need doctors to embrace it. And then that's how we can educate people, because every doctor is seeing 30, 40 patients a day. And when every doctor is going to talk about it, or a large number of doctors are going to talk about it, then patients will start embracing it. Yeah.
Some of the challenges of regenerative therapy I've noted is sometimes the cost. And another thing is that it has not quite penetrated the country. Which are some of other challenges that you have witnessed the 6 years that you've worked here in Kenya?
Nothing really. It was so easy. Authorities were easy, regulatory boards were easy, doing registrations was so easy. And so everyone, when it came to, you know, authorities, regulatory boards, whatnot, really embraced it and really encouraged me to start practicing all of this. And so there have literally been no challenges at all in my practice so far. Yeah.
And collaborations, because I've seen, you know, some of the hospitals in India having some partnership with hospitals here in Kenya. Practical example is Guru Nanak. I've seen partnerships in Kenyatta, and also I've seen partnership in Eldoret Referral. Which are some of these partnerships that can help us scale this therapy? Because just like you said, it's far much better than intrusive form of therapy.
We don't need partnerships. We just need doctors to learn about functional medicine and regenerative medicine. We don't need doctors to come in from India to do it for us. We can gain that skill ourselves. As we talked about it, it's sometimes something that's not taught to us in medical school because of the lack of skill or specialty to be taught. But it's something, you know, we have so many conferences that happen, we have so many small courses that happen, myself included, offering that course to students. And I think it's just about learning and just advancing yourselves. We don't need collaborations, we don't need people from outside the country to come and do what we can do.
We just need to
here.
embrace it.
We just need to get the skill. Yeah.
And I'm also looking at how regenerative medicine can help some of the conditions that we have had for so many ages here. We've talked about diabetes. We can also talk about arthritis and complications of other diseases as well.
As I said, it can be practiced on a majority of patients. But as I also said, if you're a candidate for surgery, you're a candidate for surgery. You should not devour. So there's a lot that's involved. To start off with, at least a consultation, because when you do a consultation with me, then I'm in a position to explain to you if this is right for you or not. You're more than free to do a second opinion, take a second opinion, take a third opinion. Every doctor is going to have their own way of practice. So I'm not saying that it's just regenerative and functional medicine to treat everything. But yes, we can treat a lot of conditions that maybe conventional medicine cannot as well treat. And so it works in tandem, and we just need to embrace it. Yeah.
And from your experience, and for the sake of our audiences, who would be the ideal candidate for this kind of therapy?
There's no ideal candidate, and that's why I mentioned come for a consultation. I can't tell you on TV or off just like that, like, hey, look, you need this, and you have pain, come to me. You have diabetes, come to me. You have liver cirrhosis, come to me. Yes, I will help you. Yes, I can treat everyone. I can treat all of you. But that consultation is key. You coming to understand what the treatment is like. So I don't want to just put it out there on the raw that I can treat everyone. But you just coming to understand, and me understanding you as a patient and trying to gauge if you are actually a candidate for it or not. But just on the brief, if you do have pain, you do have skin issues, you have hair issues, you have organ issues, we're there just to help you for everything. Yeah.
And what is the single most important thing that Kenyans should understand about this kind of therapy?
Don't treat yourselves. This is one of the biggest problems we have right now. People buying
education.
Yeah, people Googling and ChatGPTing everything, and then coming to even teach us on how to practice and how to do the injections and whatnot. It gets so intense because patients come to me and tell me, you're supposed to inject right here, this is how much you're supposed to inject, and this is how you're supposed to inject. No, we're the specialists, so don't do things over the counter. Please don't use quack products. Don't use products that have been infiltrated, you know. And so we have specialists who do that. Come to us for a consultation. Consultations are necessary. That's why we're taking your medical history. We're doing necessary tests that need to be done before we even decide to do a treatment for you. And so it's so necessary for patients not to just rely on ChatGPT and Google and come and tell me, okay, I'm going to go and read about it on Google and then get back to you if I'm confident about it. No, I spent 10 years learning what I know, which you can't learn in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Where do you see the future of this therapy? Because I was Googling and I saw in Europe and America, it has been embraced and all the support has been given, because more or less people now are embracing things that are non-intrusive, including diets. Where do you see this kind of therapy in the next 10 years? You've done around 6 years. So maybe in a timeline of the next 4 years.
I think it's going to blow up like crazy, if I may say so. There's this treatment, or there's this injection we have that's called the ultimate regenerative jab. It works on everything in your body, your organs, your hair, your skin, your weight loss, literally everything. So imagine you just taking one injection twice a week for a period of 1 month, and that's it, you're brand new, and it's possible.
Really?
So, yes, yes, it is.
Because this therapy is more or less quite different from other sorts of therapy and medication and even surgery.
Yeah. Let me just explain something very basic to you.
Yeah.
Functional medicine is peptides. Peptides, as we have learnt in school in basic science, are building blocks for amino acids, which are building blocks for muscle. And when we're regenerating muscle in your body, whatever kind of muscle, we're also to a certain extent regenerating your organs, improving your gut health. When your gut health is better, your skin is better. When your organs are better, your hair grows better. When your blood circulation is better, your hair grows better. So everything works in tandem. And so when I talk about functional medicines, I'm talking about peptides. And this ultimate regenerative injection that I'm talking about is a peptide. And so it's just reversing everything in your body, and it's possible. And tried and tested, because peptides were introduced in the Western world as early as 1920s. You can imagine we're embracing it after, 100 years plus? And so it's just a matter of time, but this thing will definitely blow up. Yeah.
Take me through, if somebody wants to access this sort of treatment, and I show up at your tier clinics, and I tell you I've had issues with my stomach for 10 years. What is the first thing? Do I have to go first of all to a conventional hospital first so that they may recommend me to come there? Or from there you can pick it from where the patient has gotten?
As I mentioned in the beginning, I'm not a specialist. So I'm not a gastroenterologist. I'm not a diabetologist. I'm not a hepatologist. But I have my set of experience and what I can deliver. And so when you come to me as a patient, I'm going to tell you what I'm able to deliver to you. This is what you should expect from my treatment. If it's something that you can adapt to and, of course, spend on, well and good. And as I also mentioned, every doctor has their own experience. Every doctor has their own opinion. You may go to an orthopedic surgeon and you may go to another orthopedic surgeon, and they'll both have different opinions on how they want to treat you. So I always tell patients that if you believe in me is when you're going to get treated by me. But there are certain conditions or certain instances where I may not be able to play a role. And so I believe in cross-referring. So if I feel like I can't treat you for whatsoever reason, I will cross-refer you to the specialist.
And since we are getting to the tail end of this conversation, I would like you to tell Kenyans where or how they can be able to access this kind of therapy.
So my name is Dr. Arshni Malde. I'm a director at TIA Clinics, and you can find us in Muthaiga, just next to Gertrude's Hospital. We're neighbors, but look us up on socials, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. If you just Google TIA Clinics, then you'll find all the information about us, and then just reach out to us.
Your closing statements.
My closing statement, I wish that we can be able to just heal everyone. And for me, I moved from aesthetics more to healing. And I just feel like, yes, Kenyans have been so kind. We've embraced so many of these treatments. But let's work towards having a better country, and let's work towards being the top in Africa.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you indeed for your insight as well. I've been speaking to Dr. Arshni Malde, who is a regenerative and functional medicine specialist at TIA Clinics. We have been looking at regenerative and functional medicine. Remember, as she said, it's non-intrusive, a new technology, quite a new, relatively new technology here in the region and in Kenya. But in other countries, they have really moved. And as we are also looking at things are changing in the world, we are looking after our health. Health is wealth. This is something that somebody can also explore. Many thanks to you for joining us for that first hour. Joining me next, we'll be looking at the roadmap to Singapore. I'm telling you about that.
You'd really like to perform this surgery at the end of your term here.
I am a member of the medical team, part of China's medical mission.
Upasuaji mkubwa namna hii huwezi kufanya peke yako. Nani kati yenu angependa kuwa msaidizi wake?
Changlai, check the vitals.
Normal.
Has the tracheal tube been sterilized?
Yes, it's ready.
Cut open trachea.
Why didn't you tell me? Why did you do it without asking me first?
Because we were having problems at the time. Besides, you were still quite hurt because of Federico's death.
But right now I'm taking care of the design and promotion of the factory.
You need psychiatric help. That is what you want, don't you? You want them to send me to a loony bin to get rid of me.
You're the only woman with whom I would like to live with.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come.
The holiday season is here again. It's family time.
Oh
yes! It's a season to be jolly. And so, grab a seat, Relax as your favorite Christmas hosts line up to indulge you this year.
It's about to go down.
There's a lot of food and drinks to go around.
It's delicious.
Great music for the soul.
Merry Christmas.
It's unbeatable. It's joyous. It's Christmas on KBC Channel 1.
Sisi natetemeka mpaka polisi akasema wacha sina anika hii watu kwa jua kwanza. Sasa sisi akanikwa kwa jua.
Kama nguu. Kwa nini unakubali kupepo na kali ya nyama? Wewe ni nyama.
Wewe amka.
Kijana wewe lala. Mtu asikusumbue. Hao watu ambao walipepwa hapo ni wanyama ama ni nyama?
Anapeleka nyama ya binadamu ambaye yuko hai.
Watu si nyama.
Hao watu iko hai. Wewe anabebanga nyama ya wanyama.
Na ndio wewe sasa uliamua kubeba wanadamu ambaye iko hai. Na gari iko -1. What did you expect?
I expect them to die.
Yes.
Ala.
Amina kapewa kikombe cha maji ya kunywa.
Wengine hudhani kuwa Uislamu ulimfanya mwanamke kuwa duni, asiye na sauti wala haki, lakini ukweli ni kinyume chake. Uislamu unamtambua mwanamke kuwa mwenye haki kamili ya kumiliki mali, kusoma, kufanya kazi halali na kuchagua mwenzi wake wa ndoa.
Je, maiti ana haki gani kwako wewe ndugu Muislamu?
Wewe ni mwenye kupitisha desturi yao. Wao baada ya kufa, wazazi hao walikuwa na desturi ya mambo ya kheri ambayo walikuwa nayafanya. Ndiyo, kama walikuwa nayo, tafadhali usiyasimamishe.
Merry Christmas. This is Big Mind Special Christmas Edition.
May Christ give you the fruit of joy this Christmas.
It's a season to give, for God has given us His only Son.
Right here, we have a very special gift. Could you guess what it is?
Thanks to the Lord, for He is good.
Ask the Lord to give you the fruit of patience.
Patience, follow me. In everything I do, Lord, give it unto me.
All we pray is for a blessed festive season and a fruitful year, 2026. Merry Christmas.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima
tunajifunza umuhimu wa maziwa ya mbuzi,
kisha uwezekano wa kupanda mimea mingi katika kijisehemu kidogo cha ardhi.
Kilimo tunapata mboga hatununuangi sisi, matunda hatununui, na pesa ukitaka kila siku lazima upate pesa.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1
kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Dr. Bunaya Alfi Godana was born in 1952 in Dukana along the Kenya-Ethiopia border. Godana grew up as an ordinary child of a nomadic family. Herding camels was the main occupation of the Gabra community in the Chalbi Desert. Taking children to school was frowned upon. The region had poor infrastructure. Cattle rustling and banditry thrived. In Dukana, which is more than 600 kilometers away from Nairobi, there were no learning institutions in the 1960s when Godana was starting school. The nearest primary school was at the North Horror Trading Center, approximately 70 kilometers from his home. The missionaries worked jointly with chiefs and community elders to help mobilize young children, mainly boys, to go to school. Gabra elders picked Godana to join the school. His sterling academic achievement has remained a model for students in the region. He placed Marsabit Boys High School on the national academic map after he scored a 6-point distinction in his O-levels. He proceeded to Mary School for A-levels, where he scored 3 straight A's, qualifying to join the University of Nairobi's Faculty of Law. He graduated at the top of his class with a Bachelor of Laws First-Class Honours in 1976. Godana worked briefly at the university as a tutorial fellow in the law faculty. The university then sponsored him to pursue a master's degree in law at the University of London, after which he returned to the University of Nairobi to teach for a while before enrolling at the University of Geneva's Graduate Institute of International Studies in 1980 for a doctorate in international law, graduating in 1984. He returned to the faculty in Nairobi as a lecturer, rose to the position of senior lecturer, and became chairman of the Public Law Department. He resigned from this position to pursue a career in politics. Godana was first elected to Parliament in 1988 to represent the newly created North Horr constituency, which was carved out of Marsabit North during a review of constituency boundaries in 1986. With his knowledge of law, the sharp-witted Member of Parliament was quick to study parliamentary rules and procedures in his first stint in Parliament, and he stood out as a knowledgeable debater. Moi appointed him as an assistant minister in various ministries. He worked in health, office of the president, and later foreign affairs. After his re-election to Parliament in 1992, he was elected Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, deputizing Speaker Francis Ole Kaparo. He served in the capacity until end of his 5-year term. By the time the 1997 elections approached, Godana was one of the most influential politicians in Kano. Following his victory in the polls, Moi appointed him Minister for Foreign Affairs to sort out the Kenya-Ethiopia conflict. In 2002, Moi transferred Godana to the Ministry of Agriculture as his government continued with the joint operations to flush out the rebels. Godana died in a plane crash on the way to a peace meeting in Marsabit organized by the government and scheduled for 10th April 2006. As a senior Marsabit politician, Godana was highly regarded by many, especially in North Horr constituency. One of his notable achievements was the establishment of a local non-governmental organization, Pastoralist Integrated Support Program, which today is a lifeline to thousands of nomadic communities in Marsabit. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
Welcome back to KBC News Check. Many thanks indeed for keeping me company and having one of the most astute ministers back in the day, Dr. Bonaya Gonano. Just looking at his life and his work, a distinguished lawyer for that matter as well. But we on the second hour, as I had mentioned, the head of state had mentioned the roadmap to Singapore, which the figures themselves of 5 trillion shillings, we don't even collect that in our taxes. But he says, yes, indeed, it is very possible. And from his National Infrastructure Fund and Sovereign Wealth Fund, he says this is very possible even to take our country from our developing countries to a first world country. Is it ambitious? Well, that is what we'll be looking at, because what he said is that he's pursuing as a roadmap to Singapore. And on Monday, there was a cabinet meeting where they did approve that, and we'll be having a National Infrastructure Fund and Sovereign Wealth Fund, and they also supposed to curb government borrowing, and especially on infrastructure. A lot of the money that we borrow, roads and infrastructure, is where that a lot of that, or the bulk of that money, goes. And joining me now on set, and many thanks indeed for making time, is a governance expert and also an infrastructure engineer. He is Engineer Jackton Achieng Mwembe. He's also the Honorary Secretary at the IEK, that is the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. Karibu sana Bwana Mwembe.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you since before the by-elections.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's a good thing that you've really made time for us and talking about infrastructure. The best thing about this and about the roadmap to Singapore, it's also a very emotive governance issue, because we're going to be, the head of state yesterday did mention that he's going to be seeking, of course, parliament approval for the framework of these two funds, and he also said that it is an ambitious program, but he's sure that we're going to be going into the first world country in the next couple of years. As an engineer, not as a governance expert now, is this a very ambitious program?
Thank you, Troy, for having me today. And it's been a while since we were here last. Yes. And we are looking at some of the issues that are being raised by the government. And it's really ambitious. And the question that needs to be asked is one, that we are moving to the first world. Where are we? Do we even know where we are? Are we in the third world? Are we in the fourth? Or where is our position currently? Have we been able to establish that? Because it's very important to know where you are if you want to propel yourself to a given, limit or objective. So Kenya is really doing a good job in terms of making such progress. But we need to understand our strengths. We need to understand the systems that we have and the frameworks that are in place to enable us get to first world. Yes.
And Kenyans would argue that indeed it's the prerogative of the government to develop infrastructure, build hospitals, energy, housing. But now we have an infrastructure fund that will be more or less like funded, and he talked about the funding being one of privatization of some of the companies, and of course there's also the sovereign wealth fund. Of course, we are also tapping into our rich resources. We have oil. He mentioned that yesterday, and also we have minerals, a number, gold. We have coltan in about 16 counties. According to your assessment, which sectors should be promoted under this? Should be transport? Should we be looking at energy? Should we be looking at housing? Should we be looking at water or road infrastructure?
The government is a facilitator of economic growth so that the private sector can be able to thrive. So when you look at all these sectors, we have areas which has got issues to do with the called what? Production support. These are energy sector, we have the road sector, we have communication sector, we have also issues dealing with trades. So government should actually create that particular environment to ensure that if there is an investor who is coming into this country, they can be able to do business. Not just investors, we have local investors and international investors. So they are supposed to carry out their businesses in the country without necessarily going through a lot of bureaucracies and also higher tax regimes and all that kind of things. So if government really wants to promote economic status of this country, then we need to focus more on issues dealing with energy and road networks, very, very critical, and also the support services in terms of other tertiary services that supports businesses. Those ones need to have frameworks and policies that will be able to enable them to thrive so that they can be able to support the mainstream business doing in the country. So this we are looking at, those major areas in infrastructure, including railways and ports, just to make movement of goods and services easy from one end to the other and globally. Yes.
And how does it differ from the other framework that is already there? I mean, we are building roads, we're building railways, we're building hospitals, we're building houses, building the energy sector. Now we have more or less something that mirrors that. How does it differ, the 5 trillion project, ambitious project, from what we have been having since 1963?
Great. That's a very good question, because you realize that one of the big questions that needs to be tackled is the administration of this particular fund, or the 2 funds that have been talked about. We have, the road sector has been monitored and governed through the, or financed through most of the allocations from the Kenya Roads Board, which is also a board that monitors and ensures that roads are maintained, rehabilitated, and new constructions are they get to such allocations. We have also the water sector, where we've had funding coming either privately through PPPs or all that. You see, these are disintegrated, but the fund that has been proposed seems to be a consolidated fund, where now all funds will be directed towards a pool of funds. Then it's prioritized. Now the expenditures come through prioritization on infrastructure projects. The question is, how is that going to be done when we still have these other agencies and boards still running the show in terms of monitoring, in terms of allocation, and giving prioritizing the infrastructures that are required? And how are we going to also look at the issues dealing with the prioritization? Actually, that's what I'm talking about. How are we going to prioritize these particular projects or infrastructure? Are we looking at areas where we may be able to get misplaced allocations when other areas are going to suffer? So it's still green, it's still not clear where where this will lead us. It's a move in the right direction, but it is not clear how this is going to be done. We are told even the administration of this fund is going to be through a board. So is it going to be independent? How do boards work? The boards work through ministries, line ministries. So are we going to have it through what kind of a ministry?
And we did also hear a limited company being mentioned.
Yes.
A limited
liability company.
Yes,
exactly.
Being mentioned.
Yes.
That's also throws a spanner into the works.
Exactly. It's a requirement also by law. It allows the government through the agencies to register liability companies. However, if it's registered under that particular framework, then we need proper governance system to ensure that it's independent, it's accountable, and it has a clear responsibility which is not going to conflict with any other agency or any other board that already exists in the governance system of this country. Yes.
Engineer, you agree with me that when you dangle 5 billion shillings, you will see the corrupt people who look at these funds as low-hanging fruits. Now we are talking about 5 trillion shillings. It's going to attract a lot of interest, both from those who mean well and those who want to pinch something out of that. How can we ensure that this project and the funds themselves, to be specific, are devoid of political influence? They are devoid of, we might end up with white elephants.
Yeah, a lot is happening. Currently, we have the Affordable Housing Fund, which was established to roll out the affordable housing program in this country, which is currently running, we can say it's running quite well, and we just need to get probably feedback in terms of expenditures and how that money has been used, so that we get this feedback to the citizens. Now, creation of this kind of a fund, again, in Kenya, we may not have waterproof, watertight, probably structures that may be able to curb any form of corruption and misuse of funds, because it's our law courts have got so much dependence on exhibits and they're called what? You call them witnesses and so that you can be able to prove a fact that actually corruption took place, and that is what has been ailing Kenya. So creating a 5 trillion pot, you know, all the interest would be there. The first question would be, the board would be appointed. Who appoints the board?
The president.
The president. So if a president is a political position, so what does that tell you? That even the political appointments should be above board. And we need to have structures in a way that the appointees are not going to lean towards the appointing authority, so that decisions will be made independently. That's the only way they can be able to be accountable to this nation, because these are going to be people who are going to handle public funds. So these are the gaps that are still there in Kenya. And this fund is going to attract a lot of attention from the political class. That one I can assure you.
And we really need to be devoid of that.
Yes.
And also still on the same, I'm also looking for regional equity. Reason being, I've seen skewed regional developments. Ask me how. You see, the Seven Forks project is in Embu County, the lower part of Embu in Mbeere. But those people still don't, a lot of them do not even have, leave alone power, they don't even have water that generates that. You know? And you'll find some place in Northeastern or in Mombasa, they have water, they have electricity. How can we ensure that even each and every one and each and every county, the 47 county, benefit from this 5 trillion Kenya shillings, more or less like an infrastructure money?
Great, that's a great question again. You see, administratively, Kenya is divided into zones and provinces. We have counties and sub-counties. And when you want to implement, that's now the political wing comes in very, very, very critical in this setup. That every other need for the society comes from the people. And when you engage with the people where we have public participation, they will tell you what they need. You cannot actually get to a place like, Mount Kenya and probably say that you want to do dams. Okay, because the place, climatic condition for the place is generally, it supports agriculture. Maybe when you want to start to commercialize, then we can talk about, that's a totally different story. But there is a need for each and every section in this country. So when those needs are collected based on the administrative centers, then we can be able to have equitable distribution where the focus in investment is based on the need of the people on the ground. However, there are common needs of the people of Kenya, where we have the things to do with hospitals, we have roads, road networks, we have power requirements. You see, those ones, you may not find rivers that are feasible to generate enough power. You'll have to ensure that you have proper infrastructure to transmit the power to these particular zones. So these are also basic needs that are required by the members, the citizens down there. So such can be, triggered again through the administrative systems that we are having to ensure that we have proper and equitable distribution. We have areas where even accessibility is still a problem, and you wonder whether this is a political issue or it's a government initiative that has left some of the people out of the development. So we are looking at a national fund that has been program that has been initiated by the government, and it should be able to come out and reflect the whole country, where Northeastern can equally get proper investment from the national government as the urban area like Nairobi and Mombasa and even Kisumu, because we still have inaccessible areas in these areas. We have areas where there is no power at all. People are still using the small, they call them koroboi, the small whatever, and paraffin, which is old school. So, and these really support, you look at education, the literally levels in this country. So when you start talking about power, children will be able to get power, at least to get to study, and also to have extended businesses in the markets. And this will only come when the infrastructure has been done properly. And this fund should be directed towards that and equitable across the country. Yes.
Of course, a number of Kenyans are quite skeptical, but looking at 5 trillion and the infrastructure and the National Infrastructure Fund, maybe you can tell Kenyans how they are bound to benefit from this, apart from, you know, the roles that they will see, you know, that some of the jobs will be created as well for engineers like you.
5 trillion is big amount. You know, that is... we are not
even, we cannot even collect
that. You can't.
As a country.
Yes. You know, our budget, annual budget is still less than that. So
yes.
That one tells you the kind of kitty that is going to be run by this board. So in proper administration of the fund, then Kenyans are bound to benefit big time. One of the most important area is employment, because when you have infrastructure running across the country, you will find a lot of people being employed. We'll have specialties, not just the engineers. Engineers are the key professionals that will be able to lead in the implementation of these projects. My real concern has always been that such amount of funds, are sometimes being given into the foreign hands in terms of implementation of these infrastructure projects, when we have capacity and in this particular country, so that this money can be able to be collected from within and being dispensed or disbursed to our own, so that it remains circulating. That's how economies grow. So we are looking forward into employment, where a lot of our own Kenyans, the locals, can be employed, from professionals all the way to the lowest cadre in the in the human resource systems. Yeah, we are looking at opening up markets, because once you see currently, probably the government is doing a lot of markets all over. These markets need raw materials. These markets need agricultural products to be taken to the market from one area to the other. That particular exchange requires a lot of road networks. So these road networks again will increase trade amongst communities. So this that's another benefit that will come in. We'll have to explore so much. I think the government needs to explore so much into the value addition and manufacturing and industrialization, because that is where we have really lagged behind. So if we have the infrastructure project and if infrastructure fund and allocations are done towards the energy sector, where we have sustainable energy being provided, then you'll realize that industries will be able to come up, because the cost will be one of the areas. When you have sustainable energy, the cost must be able to come down, and through that cost, fair costs for the industries, then we will have a lot of industries coming up, and that is a source of employment. There will be value addition. Then we have net exports, and that is how economy keeps on growing. We attract the dollar into this country. These are the real benefits that we are going to have, and it will be felt up to the household level, where people will be having power to buy. Yes.
And I'm also looking at how we can also rope in the private sector, and also institutional investors, and also bodies like the Institution of Engineers of Kenya for this, because let's be very honest, he was very specific on infrastructure, so that Kenya can, reduce the dependency on borrowing and loans. How can institutions like yours and private sector also benefit from this?
We understand, Troy, that our institution is a society which has over 14,000 actually members, engineers in all cadres. That include mechanical engineers. When you want to talk about industrialization, you cannot leave out mechanical engineers. When you talk about road infrastructure, you have civil engineers, you have structural engineers. We have, electrical engineers in the energy sector. Now, in the water sector, we still have water engineers. We have biomedical in the hospitals, because when you have a population, when you have a thriving, when you have a thriving economy, you'll always have also growing population, and sicknesses are there. So we have the medical sector needs to be improved. So I can tell you, our role is to ensure that we nurture and mentor engineers that will be able to feed in to the development, because this is a long-term plan. So it's going to feed into the human resource requirement for the implementation of the infrastructure project. And I can tell you again, Troy, that we have so much that is going to happen in this area. The academia will come out. There will be research areas that needs to be done so that we can be able to get sustainable infrastructure implementation plans, and also technical areas will be tackled through the academia. We look at also opening up a market, okay? Now, us, we will be able to sensitize, you know, we also sensitize the public on the safety of this infrastructure, the safety of the infrastructure, and also the safety of the people while using the infrastructure. You see, roads, when roads are built in particular zones or sections in this country, you realize that even the accident rates go up. The question is, who takes responsibility of these accidents that we are seeing everywhere? We need to have a proper sensitization mechanism. We have National Transport and Safety Authority, which also looks at into the safety of the vehicles and the roads. So IEK works with these partners to ensure that we have that sensitization go out to the public, and also to ensure that we also develop our members who will be able to play a part in the infrastructure development. So IEK plays a key role, and it's fundamental that the government includes the IEK into the functions, the Institution of Engineers of Kenya into the functions that they are having, to ensure that we keep on having this conversation, so that we can advise and also give way forward in terms of this, how the implementation of this infrastructure projects.
Indeed, that's a mega project, 5 trillion. When we come back, you'll be telling us when can we expect tangible results. Indeed, I'm with Engineer Mwembe Jackton, who is an engineer and governance expert, and we are looking at the ambitious road to Singapore that the president did begin a couple of, let's say a couple of months, and it was approved by cabinet on Monday. But for now, let's cross over to Migori County, where the Luo Cultural Festival is currently underway, the Ping Luo. And my colleague Wycliffe Okech has been keeping tabs with what has been happening, and now joins us to give us a feel of what we are expecting and what we can be able to see. Over to you, Wycliffe.
Well, thank you so much, Ben, Troy, Njue, back in Nairobi. Like we mentioned it right, we are coming to you live from Rongo University. Rongo University is the main venue for the Ping Luo Festival 2025. Remember, this is the 5th edition of this extravaganza, and it has been all 3 days of extravaganza. As I said, there's a lot of activities that have been unveiled here for the benefit and for the enjoyment of the locals here. This is an opportunity, and actually a time when the Luo community at large converge to celebrate their culture, to reflect their heritage, see how they've fared on, how have they fallen short in terms of heritage preservation, and how better should they carry on and in terms of preservation of the heritage. Remember, for the first day, that was on Monday, when the governor of Migori, alongside other governors from the Luo nation, gathered here to officially open this activity here. There were so many comments and there were many speeches, and the key subject that mirrored that particular day is how better can the Luo community come together, unify, fortify their unity, so that they can chart a united front going forward in terms of cultural development, in terms of political advancement, and all that will be also will reverberate here today when President William Ruto will be presiding over the closure of the 5th edition of Ping Luo Festival and Extravaganza that is underway here in Migori County. Remember, it is a heritage. It is passed down between generations, and from the elderly to the young. So I want to engage just a bit the young people who have had a chance to participate, or rather witness the 5th edition of Ping Luo Festival 2025. I'll ask you to stand here, look into the camera. Utaongea Kiswahili ama Kizungu? Kiswahili. Tazamia pale, unieleze wewe ni nani, unaitwa nani, na umetokea sehemu gani, na uliweza kufika hapa siku gani wewe? Nitashika mic, wewe angalia tu pale.
Asante sana, hasa kwa KBC Radio Channel. Kwa majina naitwa Maxwell Taro, natoka eneo la Nyatike. Siku ya leo nimefurahi kwa sababu nimepata nafasi ile nifike mahali hapa, mahali Luo Festival inafanyika. Na vile vile nataka nichukue jukumu langu kupiga asante kwa rais wetu William Samoei Ruto kwa sababu alimechukua jukumu lake kuunganisha Wakenya wote. Hiyo ndio sababu siku yetu ya leo tumepata nafasi tufike hapa kama wetu wa Migori. Na vile vile tutawaomba rais wetu William Samoei Ruto ni kama upendo wake tuone maendeleo kuanzia leo, na vile vile aweke pamoja au viongozi wote kutoka sehemu mbalimbali kwa hii nchi Kenya.
Kabisa. Umoja wa viongozi ni ya maana sana, lakini hapa kwenye tamasha hili lile ambalo tunakusudia ni kuona kwamba zile itikadi na pia sifa na hulka za jamii ya Waluo basi vile vizazi vinazokuwa ama vijana wadogo wanapata kuelewa na kujifunza mengi kuhusiana na tamaduni za Wajaluo. Wewe hadi kwa leo umejifunza nini kutokana na tamaduni za jamii ya Waluo?
Okay, asante sana mtu wetu. Ningesema ya kwamba kufika hapa ya leo nimekuja kugundua ya kwamba kuna cultural ya Waluo na kuna vitu zingine tunafanya kama Waluo ambayo inaweza weka sisi kama watu Wajaluo jukumu letu iendelee mbele, na vile vile iweke maisha wetu kama Wajaluo ionekana kwa nchi yote ya pembeni kote ya nchi ya Kenya.
Asante sana. Ni sawa, wacha nieleke mmoja tena. Karibia hapa kijana. Wewe ni Gen Z kabisa. Wewe ni mwanafunzi hapa katika chuo hiki kikuu cha Rongo, na leo ni siku ya 3 kutangia tamasha hili lilianza siku ya Jumatatu, kaendelea jana na pia leo tamasha hili linatamatika. Wewe umejifunza nini kutokana na tamasha hili kuhusiana na tamaduni za jamii ya Waluo? Ama utaongea Kisungu?
Naongea Kiswahili.
Ni sawa, tazamia pale.
Na mimi kwangu nimejifunza mambo mengi kwa sababu nimeona.
Jina kwanza?
Kwa majina ni Lawrence Wekesa, natokea sehemu za Bungoma. Na nimekuja mahali hapa kama mgeni, lakini nimefurahia sana kuona tamaduni zao na vile wanavyofanya vitu vyao. Wanafanya vitu vya kupendeza na pia ni vitu ambavyo vinakuza jamii.
Ni kipi ambacho unaona kimekufurahisha zaidi?
Nimefurahia kwanza, kuna waigizaji ambao wamekuwa mahali hapa ni kwa ajili ya kuigiza watu. Pia nimeona umati umekuja kwa wingi ni kwa ajili ya kumtazama rais wao William Ruto. Ni kitu ambacho pia tumefurahi kama wanafunzi kwa sababu watu wamefurika kweli kweli kuja mahali hapa ni kwa ajili ya uwepo wake rais William Ruto mahali hapa. Naam.
Naelewa pia wewe ni mwanafunzi katika chuo hiki kikuu na unasomea taaluma ya uandishi wa habari. Tuseme ungekuwa unaandika hadithi leo kuhusiana na tamasha hili, wewe ile kiini ungesema ni nini hasa imekufurahisha zaidi?
Mimi kwanza, kitu cha kwanza ambacho kimenifurahisha ni kwanza uwepo wake rais William Ruto kwa mahali hapa, ndio kitu kikubwa sana ambacho kimenifurahisha. Maana unajua kuna wale ambao tunamuona rais kwa mara ya kwanza. Kwa hivyo hicho ndio kitu cha kwanza ambacho ni cha msingi, lakini kitu cha pili pia nadhani inakuwa kama historia fulani hivi, kitu kama hiki kuwahi kutokea mahali hapa pia inakuwa ni kama historia fulani hivi. Alafu pia unajua tumeonana na viongozi kutoka maeneo tofauti pia kutoka kaunti hii ya Migori wamejikusanya mahali hapa ni kwa ajili ya shughuli hii, pia ni kitu ambacho ni cha kujivunia.
Ni sawa, asante. Troy, nikimalizia kwa vijana nitaomba ufike hapa dakika moja tu, pia utueleze wewe unaitwa nani, umetokea sehemu gani na tamasha hili limekufunza nini hadi siku ya leo?
Kwa majina naitwa Alvin Tom na natokea saidi za Kisii. Hii tamasha imenifunza, inaleta Wajaluo wote pamoja na watu kutoka nchi mbalimbali. Nimefurahi sana kwa sababu ni watu wako na umoja.
Kabisa. Na uko na ujumbe gani kwa vijana? Manake tamasha kama hili linakusudia kufunza na kuwajuza vijana wa sasa kuhusiana na tamaduni za jamii ya Waluo. Ungependa kuambia nini vijana, pengine wale wajapata nafasi ya kufika hapa na kukusudia tamasha hili mbashara?
Vijana wenzangu kama mimi nilikuwa nawaambia hii tamasha ambao ni nzuri sana. Inatufunza tukue na umoja na kama viongozi bora wa nchi. Sisi ndio nchi inategemea kwa kizazi cha baadaye.
Asante sana. Troy, just maybe 1 or 2 minutes niweze kuzungumza pia na mama mmoja ambaye ameweza kufika hapa. Wewe naona umevalia sana kwa rangi ambayo inaambatana na chama kingine ambacho tunakijua ambacho pia kuna ushikano ile mkubwa sana katika eneo hili. Tueleze wewe unaitwa nani, umetokea sehemu gani na hadi siku ya leo umeweza kufurahishwa na jambo gani?
Mimi mwenyewe naitwa Mary Anyango Nyaudo kwa jina ambaye inajulikana. Mimi naitwa Nyamombasa Chapchap, Ugunja Women Representative, Municipality Modern Market. Mimi natoka Siaya, Ugunja constituency. Mimi ni msichana wa Pia Wandai.
Ndoambie
na hili kitu sherehe ambayo imetuleta hapa, mimi nimefurahia sana. Mimi kama Nyamombasa Chapchap tumekuja kuona zile matendo za Waluos. Sasa vile tumekuja hapa kama sisi watu wa Siaya, najua kama president wetu Mr. Ruto kama atakuja atatuambia vile anataka kufanya maendeleo zake. Hata sisi wenyewe kama watu wa Siaya tunamtaka huko Siaya atuletee maendeleo zake, hata matishati zake, kwa maana kuna nyimbo ambayo tutakuwa tunaimba tu Ruto tutam.
Ni sawa tukiachana na siasa kidogo tu tuweze kuangazia tamaduni za jamii ya Waluo. Waona kwamba tamaduni kidogo zinafifia, na njia gani tunaweza kuhakikisha kwamba tamaduni za jamii ya Waluo inaangaliwa na kuendelea mbele?
Tamaduni ya Wajaluo tunataka iendelee mbele. Hivi karibu hivi nyuma ilikuwa imerudi nyuma kidogo, lakini tunataka iendelee, hata kama ni ile dodo ya Wajaluo, hata kama ni dancers. Alafu nitasema hivi, tuko na mayouth ambaye wako na talents zao. Mayouth inatakana president wetu aweke pesa ingine kwa constituency, kila constituency ama counties, ili wale mayouth, kuna mayouth wasichana na wavulana na wako na matalent zao. Kuna wakucheza, kuna wakupiga mpira, kuna wakufunza watoto vitu tofauti. Alafu tuko na wamama na tuko na widows. Tuko na widows ambayo wanajua ile kucheza ile ya kitambo, ile ya Wajaluo. Lakini kitambo tulikuwa tunashona ile kitu ambayo tulikuwa tukicheza nayo inaitwa walo. Na wakati huu hakuna. Tunataka hizo vitu za Wajaluo kitambo zirudi kama kawa.
Asante sana. Nikimalizia dakika mwisho tu, angalia pale, tueleze waitwa nani, umetokea sehemu gani, na hadi siku ya leo umeweza kufurahishwa na nini kwa dakika moja tu?
Asante sana. Mimi naitwa Felix Odera, nimetoka upande wa Homa Bay County, Suba North Sub County. Siku ya leo nimekuja kushuhudia hii tamasha ya Wajaluo inaitwa Piny Luo hapa Migori. Nimefurahishwa na venye Wajaluo wanacheza utamaduni yao, na nataka hii utamaduni ya Wajaluo waishikilie kabisa na wasijiache. Chenye cha kunishangaza ni pia mwaka ujao tulifanya hii tamasha ya Wajaluo kule Siaya, lakini tulifanya tukiwa na baba. Sasa hizi tunafanya hii tamasha ya Wajaluo hapa bila baba. Tuko na huzuni sana, lakini Wajaluo wae kitu kimoja, utamaduni yetu tusiwache nyuma. Tufanye kama kitu kimoja, tukue na kitu kimoja, tusiwache Mwachamila ni mtumwa. Asante sana.
Asante sana. Troy, you've heard it for yourself. Both the youth and the elderly actually saying that there is a need actually to preserve the Luo community cultural heritage. Why? Because actually without culture there is no indigenous fortification, and that's exactly what the theme of this 5th edition of Piny Luo, which is unity in diversity. That means that there are many Luos, not just in Kenya, there are Luos in other countries, in Tanzania, in Uganda, in Congo, and that diversity also forms, embraces unity to some extent. You can see behind me there is a large crowd. There's a crowd at the main auditorium. There's also a crowd on the left side. Actually, they are ready for the closure of this extravaganza that has been here since Monday. And of course, we expect the President William Ruto, to be here at maybe in the afternoon hours to oversee, or rather preside over the closure of this festival. And just one key point to make, Troy, before I hand it back to you. There are, in terms of preservation of the Luo culture, there are sites that carry the heritage of the community, and there are calls for the unity, or for the young people to visit such sites so that they can learn about the heritage with the sole objective of preserving this culture going forward. Well, we are here throughout the day, and we'll take note of the speeches, and we'll be able to inform our viewers in our subsequent bulletins. For now, Troy, it is back to you in studio.
Thank you, Wycliffe, for catch. Now you can go back to the festivities. Remember, it's a Piny Luo Cultural Festival that is taking place in Migori County. There he is sampling some of the responses of those people who have already attended the function. We do expect the head of state to be gracing that event, and something that has been mentioned, Bana Jackton, is that it's the first one that is being done since the former Prime Minister, who was very, very, very passionate about matters culture. It's from one of your regions there, and you attended a number of the Luo festival.
Not yet.
You haven't?
Yes.
All right, you should. You should.
I will.
Just there. But anyway, we are looking at a dream that the head of state did mention that indeed we can, as a country, step up from where we are, as developing country or third world country, to a first world country. And his ambitious program is worth 5 trillion shillings. We don't even collect that in a single year. But he believes and he is convinced that we indeed can. And what has he done so far? He has established 2 funds. There's the National Infrastructure Fund and the Sovereign Wealth Fund. How are you supposed to fund that? A number of issues, including privatization, and of course, country is quite rich in terms of resources. Now we are breaking it down with engineer Jackton Achieng Mwembe, who is a governance and policy expert and also a honorary secretary at IEK, that is the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. We are looking at this because the head of state did mention that the infrastructure fund is to cater for the infrastructure that we need in the country, be it in energy, be it in roads, be it in tech. And we are also trying to break it down and seeing how realistic is it. Before we went to Migori, we were looking at how people will benefit. Now, how long can we wait to see the fruits of this? This is a very big project. At least we can say we did start affordable housing in 2023. Now we can see the houses. Despite anything that is shrouding the project, we can see the houses. This is a 5 trillion project. How long can we expect to see fruits?
When a cabinet passes a paper like this, it's a paper that is promising. So it's like a promissory note. So when we are talking about promissory notes, yes, they may have timelines, or they may be time-bound, but they need to break it down. It needs to be broken down. We see in the paper, we are seeing an indication of the seed money, which comes from currently Safaricom, which is 15% that needs to be the selling of the shares, 15%. Then we also see the Kenya pipeline privatization, which is going to be the seed money into this fund. We are also looking at scenarios where more privatization might have may happen, because we've seen a number of agencies that were listed, and these agencies funds that will be raised out of this may be able to go into this particular fund. It's a tall order to achieve the 5 trillion mark, and we are looking at the timelines between now and the general election. You'll realize that the time is too short, that probably the government may not be able to achieve this. But with their planning, in case the president gets to the next term, then this can be, it's something that can be able to be implemented beyond 2027. So we are looking at timelines of up to 2032, because this is a continuous. The two funds are continuous. They are framed into there'll be policy. There are policy documents that needs to come out to safeguard these particular funds. And the challenge that they're having, actually, because the timelines, I know, because I'm basing this on timeline, the challenge we are having is that, policies are subject to change. Anytime they can be scrapped, or you can develop new policies around the same policy. So they are a bit volatile and, not stable in terms of what you need to do. What the investors are looking for is stability in terms of policies. So I'm looking at something that can be able to be anchored in the constitution, so that if you're talking about sovereign fund, then this is a fund for the future. Can we anchor it in our constitution so that it becomes a stable fund that can be able to be depended upon? So that if a new government comes in, at any one time in our lifetime. What happens to these funds if they are not popular? What happens to them?
They're scrapped.
Yeah, they're scrapped off. So then what happens to the funds that are there? We saw the NHIF and, you know, those kind of funds. Questions are still being asked that where are the funds that were there? So these are the kind of things that needs to come out clearly in proper framework on how to move forward with some of the policies that we are coming up with. So Parliament has a big job to do here to assess the current policies and legislative framework that are there, currently running these infrastructure-oriented agencies to align with the new funding model that has been done, the infrastructure fund and the sovereign fund.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm also looking at, unfortunately, I'm being informed that we are running out of time, but I would want you to, for your closing statement, and also touch on public participation. Where are Kenyans in this? You know, in as much as we are saying that we have an ambitious 5 trillion project, we also need the nitty-gritties there, you know, to understand as Kenyans so that we may know what exactly are we getting into. I believe this is the biggest ever project that as a country since 1963 that we've ever had.
Thank you, Troy. Again, as we close, we as a country have very good policies and proposals that can be able to help this country grow to second world, third world. We need not to skip any stage. That's a very critical critical move that will be able to hit us so hard in the future. So as we grow, we need to ensure that the implementation of the policies that we are having in this country needs to be done in a way that they'll be able to be sustainable, that they'll be able also to ensure that we anchor our policies in a framework that is dependable, not which is corruption free, so that there's no influence of the political class. Because if we still anchor them with the political class around them, then corruption is something that we may not be able to fight and to stop. So in engagement of the citizens, very, very important, because currently the questions they're asking, they don't even understand, most of the people. This is about infrastructure. When you talk about infrastructure, they're not seeing the value of a dam being in a particular region, then people still don't have power in those particular areas. They don't understand why a widow or a child who is somewhere in the rural area cannot get a meal for the day when there is irrigation that we are talking about, thousands of acres of land that needs to be irrigated for Kenyans to get food. That is in terms of food security. We still have issues to do with insecurity in some parts of this country when we actually need, we establish these funds to enable us have proper infrastructure in terms of monitoring, surveillance in this country. So what I can be able to say is that it's in the implementation that we need to look at properly as the national government, the cabinet, and the parliament. They need to look at these things critically and ensure that the implementation is done and done equitably, that no Kenyan should be able to suffer because they lack fundamental needs in this to live in the country. For most important is to ensure that we promote trade in the country, and trade only comes in when you facilitate the growth or the development of this infrastructure to the remote areas where goods can be able to reach them, and they can also be able to take the produce that they have into the markets.
All right, and since it is the last news check of this year, I'd like you to wish Kenyans Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Troy. It's a very happy time and happy end of the year. The year has been a bit busy, and so much has been happening in the country, and this is the moment that I want to take and ask Kenyans that as they go for the holiday, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Take care. We still have next year that we are going to engage in so many of these conversations. Thank you very much.
That has been Engineer Jackton Achieng Mwembe, who is a governance and leadership expert and also honorary secretary at the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. We have been looking at the National Infrastructure Fund, and of course there is the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Those are the pet projects now for the 5 trillion Kenya shillings roadmap to become more or less like Singapore and get to where these countries have been. Many thanks indeed for joining us all this year and also for today. My name is Njue. My colleague on the bottom of your screen has been Lensa Odingo. Let's meet some other time. But on behalf of the entire News Check crew for this year, thank you so much indeed for everyone who has made this broadcast a success. To have a good one.
Do you live in the countryside or... Do you live in the countryside or in a city? More than half the world's population now lives in cities, and that number is only growing. City life often means crowded spaces, endless traffic jams, and bad infrastructure. And when people move to new cities, loneliness can be a huge problem. It can also be an issue for older people. Luckily, there are quite a few solutions floating around, and that's what we'll take a look at today on Shift. Whether it's Kinshasa, Tokyo or Dhaka, megacity populations are exploding. According to a UN report, Indian capital Delhi will hit 43 million in the next 10 years. And that's just one example. When cities grow, the needs of its inhabitants are rarely prioritised. So in order to better understand those needs, city planners in Estonia's capital Tallinn came up with a new idea: digital twins, creating virtual copies of new districts before they actually get built. And that's what we have here, a digital twin of Hundipea, a future district in Estonia's capital Tallinn. The virtual representation helps to test and improve living conditions in the new quarter before the building process starts.
One of the benefits of having a digital twin in the planning stages is, for example, we can already simulate the microclimate and look how we change the cityscape to actually make it better for us people and for nature.
Marcus Hell and his team created this digital twin with the help of data on the structure of the area, transport routes, the weather and vegetation. Next, they used the digital twin to map out the general design of the district and to find ideal spots for schools, shops and cafes.
So digital twin firstly helps you place the density to different spots and play around with that, and understanding where the people are in that area. And this is actually the foundation.
The digital twin can also simulate construction materials and energy demand. It helps the planners calculate how the cityscape, greenery and weather will affect the microclimate of the new district.
I changed the street 20 degrees to the left. I put some trees on front of the waterfront, and now I changed the wind on top of it. Then suddenly I can see the heat islands and the cold islands changing. And this gives me, for example, this universal thermal comfort index, which measures which temperature are comfortable for people.
Hell estimates that using the digital twin could reduce CO2 emissions by 80% over the first 5 years alone.
The digital twin helps us to see how much materials we need, what is their footprint in general, and what happens if we change out those materials.
Instead of having to rely on experience and opinions, digital twins fed with large amounts of data can find the best possible options from an environmental, social and economic perspective. This could also help promote using public transportation, walkways, bicycle lanes and recreational areas. Hell hopes that more digital twins will be developed using this software in accordance with each city's unique requirements.
In 3 to 5 years, our plan is actually to make it more self-service, more universal, so it would actually apply to places that have a much different climate than Estonia has, like Mumbai in India, for example. So just take the tool, you put your plot in, and you can actually work with it yourself.
Mumbai and Tallinn are clearly very different cities, but they do have one thing in common. Many people living there can often feel lonely. In India, there's an app for older people to combat this problem. It's supposed to help those who feel alone online and offline. Chandrakanta and Ramesh Sani live alone in a flat in Gurugram, satellite city of Delhi. Both their sons live abroad with their families.
We do feel lonely. Our children want us to move abroad, but it's difficult getting visas. And honestly, we belong to a generation that loves our own Indian culture. No matter how many facilities are available in other countries, it cannot replace the comfort we feel here.
Their children recommended the app-based service Amoa. The app helps the elderly access medical services, home healthcare, home maintenance services, and even a community to engage with over entertainment sessions. A caregiver called Amoa Daughter looks after the couple's needs and gives them company. For the Sanis, their caregiver is 25-year-old Mahima Sharma. The Amoa Daughter spends time with her assigned senior citizens and helps them sort out their medical documents by using the app. It lets you add a person's medical history, their doctors and insurance details.
मेरे पास बहुत सारे एल्डर्स जो काफ़ी एजेड हैं, ठीक है, उनके घर में अकेले हैं, बच्चे बाहर रहते हैं, अब उनके साथ एक एक चीज़ देखनी होती है, उनकी मेडिसिन देखनी होती है, मेडिसिन आनी है, डॉक्टर अपॉइंटमेंट्स होने हैं, हम डेली उनको केयर कॉल्स करते हैं, एक टाइमिंग होता है हमारे को केयर कॉल्स करने का। मेरे पास अभी 35 एल्डर्स हैं जिनको मैं टेक केयर कर रही हूँ।
हमें ऐसे लगता है कि जैसे भी एक फैमिली की तरह अटेंड कर रही है। कैसा आज आपका रूटीन रहा, या आज आपका, या कभी मेरे हमारी साउंड लो होती है तो एकदम कैच कर लेती है कि आज आंटी आप प्रफुल्लित